So, it obviously the no change among the top 4 teams in the new AP top 25 poll. Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Ohio State at 3, Florida State at 4. Washington jumps ahead of Oklahoma and Penn State after the win against Oregon. They check in at number 5. Oregon only down 1 spot to number 9. North Carolina makes a move up into the top 10, checking in at number 10. USC, after the loss, tumbles 8 spots down to number 18. Notre Dame jumps up 6 spots up to number 15. I want to start with the USC side of this. What is this a fair drop for the Trojans? They're a 1-loss team currently slated behind a lot of other 1-loss teams and 1 spot ahead of 2-loss LSU. Tennessee, Duke, Utah, Ole Miss, Oregon State, Alabama, and of course Texas and Oregon, all higher ranked 1-loss teams. Is this a fair spot for the Trojans to fall in the wake of that Notre Dame loss?
I think so. Yeah. If it's not USC and it's just a mid-level Pac-12 team with the same resume, we wouldn't have them higher than 18th with the same resume, having not really beaten anybody, struggled to beat some average teams, and then losing your only true test of the season in like hilariously bad fashion. This is you can make an argument they're ranked too high with what they've actually accomplished.
Colorado's one of their 2 best wins.
Mm-hmm.
Their 2 best wins are against 4-3 Arizona and 4-3 Colorado. The only reason that you're keeping them high is the presence of Caleb Williams and the belief of, what this team can accomplish at its very best. But 43-41 over Arizona, 48-41 over Colorado, 42-28 against Arizona State when they trailed at halftime of this game. We haven't seen USC play football that's worthy of a top 15 designation in a long time.
I mean, I had them 18th in my AP poll vote, which I don't have one, but I put it out on Twitter last week. Because they look like a non-serious football team. They had entirely screwed around on the season. I think a lot of it was like, hey, will they break out some new stuff that they haven't had to show in what was essentially a 6-game pseudo preseason? And the answer was no. Like, I don't think USC should be ranked based on what they've shown so far this year. They don't block anybody. The defense is still a joke. The special teams kicked in an effort like, oh yeah, we don't give a damn either. Like, that was an embarrassment. It's hard, like from a power rating standpoint, to drop him totally out of the top 25 because of Caleb. And if Branch gets back and is 100%, then he's a real difference maker.
And Floyd's been good. Like, the offense,
the resume so far sucks.
Yeah, right. And it's resume season. Like, we've hit that point in the year where we're judging you by what you've done, the quality on the field, the results themselves. Like,
what ceiling have you flashed? What floor have you flashed? And what do you have on the resume so far?
Yeah, I agree.
So I think there's 2 teams, and I think we are at the midpoint season. We have 6 games. You have big enough of a resume where I do think you need to start taking more in. What are your good wins? What are your, what does your resume look like from start to finish? That's where I have a problem with USC where they are, because where is the best win? I tell you what, the Pac-12 did get a huge assist from the attention that Colorado got, because like beating them looks really good, but it's probably not going to end up looking that good at the end of the season. And so I think the Pac-12 may be a little bit inflated across the board. I also think there's another team in there. If you look at Louisville, like we're talking about USC, where do you have them ranked? If you look at Louisville, where is their best win?
They smoked Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notre Dame's the win.
Notre Dame over that one. Yeah, and it's like interesting. Notre Dame jumped ahead of Louisville. Like that's so a Louisville fan is pulling their hair out because Notre Dame has 2 losses, Louisville has 1, and Louisville has the head-to-head advantage. The problem is that Notre Dame now has that win against USC to go with the win against Duke. And so they've got like more of those top wins. And I think that's what voters are reacting to, maybe overreacting, because I mean, to review that Notre Dame win over USC is to look at Notre Dame having 28 points on 61 scrimmage yards, thanks to short fields and defensive touchdowns. He goes, okay. Yeah. Hey, listen, Marcus Freeman had that. He's got a big win for Notre Dame in terms of still giving this team an opportunity to finish 9-3, 10-2. And when you have those 2 early season losses, that's the best you can do. But I think that might be too big of a jump for the Fighting Irish, though I think the Duke factor might have played a role in that. Any other takeaways? Would you entertain Washington got 2 first-place votes? Would you entertain Washington as the number 1 team in the country?
Yes. What I will not entertain, like they're 5th in the poll, which is fine because the 4 teams ahead of them all have pretty good arguments and resumes and have been very, impressive this year too. What I won't entertain are the amount of voters who put Washington at 7. Like, what 6 teams have been better both on the field and resume wise than the Washington team that just beat a top 10 Oregon team? Like, I see a bunch of voters who have Penn State ahead of Washington on their ballots. And you know what? I like Penn State. I think Penn State is a very good team. What's its best win, Iowa or Illinois or West Virginia? Like, it's compared to Washington's resume, both are beating the hell out of everybody, but Washington has the more impressive win.
Why is Penn State ahead of North Carolina?
Oh, this is a good one. Okay.
Think about this.
All right. Do you already have the notes set up? I can pull up the resumes real quick.
Yeah, like Carolina's win over Miami is much better than Penn State's win over an Iowa team that is collapsing, right? I think their second best win, what would you say Penn State's second best win is? West Virginia, a team that probably could make a bowl, but they're certainly not guaranteed to make a bowl at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty convincing. I mean, Carolina, they smoked Minnesota, which is about the same level of team as West Virginia. So, what is it? Name brand?
Yes.
Is it where they started in the polls? That's basically it.
Totally.
Carolina has looked like a better team than Penn State has. Like, Penn State's offense
is
not
a
that continuing concern. Yeah. Like, James Franklin, I understand why he dunked on the reporter, but and it was funny. I laughed. I've got dunked on before.
But that's the thing. Like, if I'm a Penn State fan, I'm asking the same damn thing. It's like, well, can we just try it? Just call a play just to see if we're capable of it, because we just keep having Drew Eller throw like these 3-yard passes. It's like, let's just see if we could take a deep shot. Maybe it works.
Okay, so
by the way, they did try some early in the game against UMass. They were trying it, and I was almost thinking, did they listen to the reporter? Trying, and it was rainy and cold, and it wasn't working, and then they just went back to what they do. The thing that frustrates me about Penn State with a resume is why not give them the big jump if they go to Columbus and beat Ohio State. Why you can wait, be open to moving them. Like, that's what I always try to do is. Like Michigan, I've been down on because they haven't played anybody. Now they've been dominating everybody, so they're kind of slowly growing up. But they don't have any opportunity really until they play Penn State. But for Penn State this week, give them the credit if they go into Ohio State, or even if they lose by 3 or 2, or it's a close game. I'd give them credit for that over than what they've done so far.
And that's the thing, because with their defense, they can beat Ohio State. Like, if Penn State knocks off the Buckeyes this weekend, I'm not going to pretend I'm shocked by it. It's just, to this point, they don't have the resume to deserve being ranked as highly as they are compared to some of the other teams they're ranked ahead of.
Taylor Vippolis of Inside Carolina noted that North Carolina has 5 wins against Power 5 teams that are all by double digits. And according to his research, no other team in the country has 5 double-digit wins against Power 5 teams. The next couple games for North Carolina, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Campbell. So I guess we'll check back in with the Tar Heels, expecting them to be 9-0 with Duke coming to town on November 11th. Famous last words, I realize.
Iowa got ranked.
All right. Before we do our update, and while we get the graphic ready for Brian Ferentz and the points for Iowa football, Tom, did you know that it's possible? I've heard a conversation that's been going on for weeks, but apparently just hit the mainstream. Speaking of the mainstream, Tom, did you know Iowa could go 11-1?
What? No way. This is the first I've heard of it. I don't know if you've been paying attention to it. I don't think enough people are talking about how Iowa could still win the Big Ten West.
We talked about it on Saturday night. We talked about it every
talked about it on Wednesday. We talked about it on Thursday. I wrote about it last week, but no, it's like after Iowa beat Wisconsin on Saturday, there's been a whole rash of, I don't think anybody's realized Iowa could still win the division.
So is it fair for Iowa to be ranked? I mean, you're 6-1. Your lone loss is to a Penn State team that is number 7 in the country.
What did I say on Saturday night's reaction show? I said Parker Statsavore on Twitter was going to put out the success rate chart for the how badly did we get beat that bad on Monday. And again, like it did in the Purdue game, it is going to show that Iowa was outplayed by its opponent and won anyway. And guess what? Iowa was outplayed by Wisconsin. The only team that got quote unquote unluckier due to success rate was NC State, which was much better than Duke and lost the game, was Iowa, who beat Wisconsin. It is the same thing every week. They play like crap for 59 minutes, but they break one long touchdown run and their defense does a good enough job and they win the game. So they're 6-1. Fine. Rank them. But if you beat Iowa, don't sit there and pretend we beat a ranked team or a good team just because there's a number next to its name. This is a team throwing the ball for 35 yards per game, folks. It is not a good team.